Hey guys, I'm Russ Brown with Brown & Company Real Estate. As a South Carolina land broker, I spend a lot of time in the woods. Anytime we're helping someone buy or sell a tract of land, we need to know where the property lines are. It's also good that the sellers know what they're selling and the buyer knows what they're buying. So today I thought I'd share a few tips and clues with you to help you know what to look for and how to identify the boundaries as you navigate around the property. So come on, I'll show you a few things and we'll get started. Okay guys, so by today's standards in surveying, it's not that uncommon to see a PVC pipe used to help mark a boundary. The paint color in this case really isn't indicating anything. The main thing I look for is these white PVC stakes out in the woods. Additionally, they may have been a wood stake, concrete marker, even a pile of rocks could have been a boundary line many years ago. So you see T-posts that are very common, which are metal posts that are in the ground. I'll show you one in a few minutes. And in this case, there's actually a pin that's been placed here in the ground by the surveyor. That way we'll know who the surveyor was and know what to look for if we ever need to get back out here and freshen up lines. Help somebody that's looking at buying a property know what they're looking at. I mentioned earlier I'd show you a T-post. This is a metal post that's been driven into the ground by the surveyors. It's a lot sturdier and will last longer than the PVC stakes will, but these are not as common these days. You see the PVCs on a lot of property. While I was here, I noticed something on the ground. It's a piece of rusty barbed wire. Okay, so this is following an old fence line. Many years ago, there was probably a farm out here. Now it's just covered in woods. These old barbed wire fences or fence lines or the cedar posts that may have been used to hold the fence up are usually good indicators that you're along an old boundary line. The boundary lines may have shifted a little bit over the years, but generally you're going to be in the ballpark when you're out looking at a property and you come across rusty barbed wire that's just laying on the ground. So be on the lookout for that. It's always a good clue to help you navigate around. Alright guys, so today I got lucky. The tract I'm looking at is nicely marked. It has fresh paint on most of the boundary trees and it's easy to navigate around. But that's not always the case. Sometimes you don't have any paint. It's been many years since the trees have been marked, the lines have been marked. So you start looking for those things like the fence, old markers that could have at one time been the boundary. But if all else fails, if there was a survey done at one point or another, hopefully that surveyor put hack marks in the trees. Hack marks are when the surveyor takes a machete or an axe and they whack a hack in the tree. And so in this case, I'm at the corner boundary of a property, and a corner is usually indicated by three hack marks. So here you got 1, 2, 3 hack marks. Okay, so I know I'm in the right spot. I'm at the corner where I'm supposed to be, and it's also painted. A lot of times you'll see these hack marks with some paint on them. Usually if you see a tree with 3 stripes, or some people call them 3 bars, that's usually indicative of the corner, and they've just been painted on. But hopefully on most of those tracks too, you'll see these hack marks to help you get around. They're always important. When the paint's gone, the hack marks will still be there. So make sure if you're getting a survey, ordering a survey, or having some work done like that, you make sure you point out to that surveyor that you want to be sure those lines are marked for future reference. Guys, now we're going to talk about surveying tape or surveying ribbon, whatever you want to call it. You see this all the time. It's pretty common. It's plastic tape that you tie onto the trees, and it helps identify the markers and the boundaries, but it's only temporary. After a few months and different weather conditions, it's going to begin to dry rot and fade. So it's not as long lasting as paint is on a tree, and definitely not as long lasting as T-post and hack marks, but it's an easy, simple way to mark your boundaries and identify markers so that you or anyone else knows when you're approaching a property line. You can refresh your own surveying boundaries by just putting this on the trees every few years. It's not expensive. You can buy a roll of it for only a few bucks at most of your hardware stores. So there's different colors too. So whatever your preference is, you can put this out on trees. Generally the knots are tied towards the property that was surveyed. So you're going to see all these line up equally. That'll indicate which property was being surveyed and what direction those are pointing to. Something simple that you can do on your own. The landowner, maybe you're thinking about putting your property on the market, or you just bought a piece of property and want to make sure you're refreshing those lines regularly so everyone else knows where your property is. So it's real simple. A few bucks can go a long way and you can do it yourself. Alright guys, so one thing I'm going to show you real quick, and this is the elementary version of it, not the best example, but a tree line is another thing that I use to identify property boundaries. You can see behind me, you've got some tall hardwood trees. over these planted pines. Okay, so that's an indication that over there is more than likely a boundary. In this case, it is. One other thing I look for is you see this big pine tree right here behind me? That is a line tree, okay? That's usually left there for a reason. You ever wondered, hey, why is that big tree left out there in that field? Well, that's why. You know, that's why in that clear cut, that big pine tree wasn't cut, because it's going to stay there. Hopefully it'll remain there so people will know that that's a standing boundary, and it's going to have markings on it too. All right, guys, so let's just say that you found a property, you're interested in it, you want to go out and take a look at it. And so you need something tangible in your hands to be able to identify those boundaries. These days, there's a lot of technology out there that makes it easy, especially with apps. They're becoming more and more popular. We use a few of them, but you don't always have cell phone service. Okay, so keep that in mind or you're going to have a tough time walking around the woods. All right, so another option you have is to go online. There may be, and in most counties there are, so be on the lookout for a GIS website, and most counties offer them, and you can print out an aerial of a property. You can locate that aerial by putting in the owner's name, street address, tax map number, coordinates, several different ways to locate that property. Print a copy out, you'll have the boundary in front of you, and it helps. It's not a survey, it's not totally accurate, but it gets you in the ballpark, okay? Another thing is if you're lucky enough to have a survey, that's great. If you're looking for one, check with the county again, wherever the records are held in your county, wherever you live, whatever you may call that place. They should have a record of it, even though not all surveys are recorded. If there's one on file, you'll have access to that. Keep that in mind as well. I like topos. Over the years, I've gotten real fond of topos as far as identifying boundaries in areas with rough terrain, where cell phone service is limited. Topos are very helpful, and a lot of your GIS sites can help print that out as well. So keep that in mind before you just go out to a property. Try to have something in your hand. Good real estate brokers are going to have you a flyer available, and it should, or most of the time, will have a aerial on it. You can even request that. That's an easy way to do it too. Let them do the work for you. So do that. If you need to get out and look at a property, those are some sources of information that may be handy. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in today. We hope you enjoyed this video. We tried to keep it real simple. We didn't get too technical with the survey techniques, but we wanted you to be able to identify your property boundaries easily and be a little bit more knowledgeable when you walk through the woods and know what you're looking for. If you like this video and want to see more videos like it, please subscribe to our YouTube channel or follow us on Facebook. We always like to post quality content and hope you'll enjoy more.